Attachment is a survival need, as essential as water, food, and air. And human infants are dependent longer than almost any other mammal. Particularly, the mother is essential. And the resonance, the interplay between the infant and the mother is so primal. It is so essential right from the start. When a child feels the mother withdraw, or when the child experiences the mother as distant or absent or not there at all, that child is in terror. That child feels like it could die. So the withdrawal and the absence of the mother is experienced as life-threatening. Attention is essential. It's an essential ingredient for many kinds of development, especially in the earliest months of life, the days and months when the brain is first developing. And what attachment consists of is presence. The child experiencing that the mother is there. And there's an interplay between the mother's brain and the infant's brain, right hemisphere to right hemisphere, through the gaze. And they kind of bounce off each other. They riff off each other, right hemisphere to right hemisphere. And that actually stimulates the brainstem, the earliest, most primitive part of the brain. And the interplay between them, the back and forth between them, is how the child develops. Mirroring is when the child looks up into the face of the other. And I see a joyful, loving reflection of me. The mirroring, that's the seed of development of existence, of a sense of self. So the stimulation of the very deep brainstem, the most primitive parts of the brain, and the reflection in the mother's eyes is the way the default mode network of the brain, that early part of the brain that develops a sense of self, begins to emerge. A lot of communication goes on between the infant and the mother in that early exchange, that early resonance. Another thing that starts there is the development of emotional vocabulary. And I don't mean vocabulary literally in terms of words, but a beginning to be familiar with emotion. And if the child is hungry and the mother picks up the signal accurately that the child is hungry and responds with food, the child begins to learn that hunger and food go together. And when you express it in a particular way and it gets understood, they begin to learn a language of emotion. And ultimately, they will learn the words for emotion through having that attentive other that's there learning their language and responding appropriately and teaching them, taking the time to reflect, to gratify, to pay attention, to listen, to feel. A good mother knows the difference between one signal and another. And having somebody there makes a child feel safe. There's another thing that's so important, and this is a concept that's much more talked about now, the word regulation, which gets batted around a lot, but I'm not sure if everyone really knows what it means. But regulation is really the ground zero of development. And regulation is really about two different functions, two different experiences. One of them is where a child gets upset, and they invariably get upset sometimes. We all do. And if the mother or the caregiver helps that child get back down to a calm baseline, to an equilibrium, that's regulation. They can get upset, they can get activated, they can calm down. They have somebody there to help them go from that activated state to a comfortable state again. Somebody's there to comfort them. And so ultimately, a child learns how to settle themselves down from getting upset through having this regulating other. There's another way that regulation works that's really, really important. And that has to do with when the connection gets broken. And it's inevitable that sometimes the mother or the parent will get upset. You'll wet the bed at the wrong time and they just don't have the patience for it right then. So they get worked up. And if they maybe yell at the child or get really stern or upset with the child, if they later come back and reconnect with the child begins to learn we can get disconnected. We can reconnect. It's okay to have these little ruptures. It's okay to make a mistake. It's okay for me to get upset or for you to get upset. It happens. It's not fatal. We can get back together. That's regulation. And there's something so reassuring. And I remember when it started to happen with my husband, and he said, wow, he said, now that I know that when we get disconnected, when we have a fight or a rupture, that we can work it out. We can get back together. We can do the repair. It's not so scary anymore. I don't have to walk on eggshells with you anymore. I feel safe with you. That's regulation. So regulation is about being able to settle myself down. Regulation is about getting back into connection, feeling safe in relationship. I want to just reiterate the fact that the loss of the attachment is experienced by the child as traumatic. It is experienced as life-threatening. The loss of the attachment is terrifying. So the withdrawal, the absence of the mother or the beloved other is experienced as life-threatening. The child feels like they're going to die. And this is really important because what we're seeing is neglect is a trauma in its own right. Neglect is not a stepchild. It's not an afterthought. And I know that when I first discovered neglect, I bumped into it from the side door. I never thought about it before. And the way I encountered it was not that I was approaching these clients, but I was approaching my clients' partners. So they weren't people in their own right. They were somebody's partner. And it was only over time that I realized neglect. First of all, these people had their own story, which was no story. And second of all, neglect is a trauma in its own right. It is not a stepchild. It is not an afterthought. It is not less serious, less damaging, less worthy of attention and care and help than any other kind of trauma, which is why I'm on a mission. And I thank you for joining me in it. And that is as the world has become increasingly trauma-informed, and that's a new thing in the last maybe 10 years or so, that I would like to introduce the category of neglect-informed, because there is as much to be informed about here as there is in this vast world that's growing all the time of trauma-informed. So I'll hold here. Our next segment is where we begin to talk about neglect and the brain.